Alright, today I'm going to show you how to make a Shamballa bracelet. Shamballa means spiritual consciousness or creative energy. It's believed that they originate from Tibet. They don't really pertain to any religion. It's believed to enhance the well-being of the wearer. Essentially what we've got here is a main string, and then we have a separate string for weaving and another string for the sliding section here, and some beads. The one I'll show you how to make will have 7 beads, one for each end, and then 5 in the center here. I'm actually going to demonstrate on a cord that's quite a bit bigger than this, so that you can see what I'm doing. For this cord, it's 1 millimeter, and it's important that the beads that you're using also have a hole that will accept that 1 millimeter size piece. So for the main string, I need a piece that's 14 inches, and for the one that I'm going to weave with, I need a string that's 52 inches, and for this little piece here, I need one that's 15 inches. Alright, so I'm going to get started, and again, I'm going to use a bigger string. I'm going to use this handout I made as a reference. So first thing, I've got my 14-inch piece string cut. I didn't have any bright blue like I drew out here, so I've got some purple that'll be close enough. First thing I'm going to do on one end is tie an overhand knot just as far down the end as I can go. And that will ensure, as I slide my beads on here, that they don't slide off. Next thing I've done is lay out the beads in the order that I want them. Again, I'm going to have 5 in that middle section, and then I like the ones on the end to be just a little bit different, a little smaller, something like that. This is again the actual string that I'm using, and depending on the beads, and the manufacturer, sometimes that hole is not quite good enough. So if you're having trouble getting the beads onto the string, what you can do is take a lighter, melt it just a little bit, and then I licked my fingers and got it to a point. I can come back in and trim off that a little bit. If you just touch it without anything wet on your fingers, it will burn. It doesn't feel good. So make sure you do that, and then you'll be able to get these actual, smaller beads strung on there, no problem. Alright, so again, jumping back to the demo piece with the larger cord, I've got a knot tied on one end, and I'm going to run these on here in the order that I want them to be in. When I've got them all on there, I'm going to go ahead and tie another overhand knot as far down on this end as I can to keep them from sliding off. Alright, so it's important as you weave this section on here, I need to go ahead and slide the end bead all the way up, so we'll be placing the beads into the weaving as we go, and that first one has to be all the way up. So what I'm using here is a clipboard, so I'm going to clip that into the top of the clipboard here. Alright, so now it's time to start talking about how to get started with this weaving section here that will go all the way down. I've got my cord already cut to 52 inches. I've got the ends matched up, because what I need to do now is find the center of that. So I'm going to run this all the way down until I have the center of it. When I've got the center of it, I'm going to start off like this, so it's behind the 14-inch piece, and making sure that I keep that in the center of this green string. I'm going to use this as my guide to lay these out. So always starting with step 1, and the trickiest one's the very first one. So I'm going to try to make this 3.5 inches from that top knot, and I'll just double check that before I really tighten it up. Okay, so this is my set of directions. So I'm going to start by making sure that my green string is behind the purple string, which it is, and I'm always going to start with the one that I've got highlighted a little bit more than the rest and with the arrow on it. So I'm starting on the right, that string is going to come over the top of the purple one and go out to the left, and that string that's on the left is going to be on top of that one. So in front, and then this one is going to go behind and up and out that hole. So that is step 2. So starting from the left, go up and out that hole. And again, kind of starting off is a little tricky. I've got that knot, and each one of those should look like a pretzel, kind of half in front and half behind. So once I got that a little snug, I'm going to double check that measurement with a ruler and make sure that's 3.5 inches from that top knot to here. Once I've got that locked in, go ahead and snug it up. Alright, so I did step 1 and 2, now I'm going to do step 3 and 4. So always following the picture. It's a little easier now that that's tight on there. I'm going to go behind now, and then the one on the left is going to be behind. So making sure mine matches the picture, and then it's going to go in front. So that is the mantra, and I'll explain here in just a second. So I've got that one full square knot, and I'm going to repeat that square knot steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 over and over again. So I did step 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm ready for step 1 again. So again, the mantra is in front, behind. And then behind, in front. Behind, in front. And if you're not sure which one you just did, because that happens sometimes, you need steps 1, 2, and 3, and 4 to make a full set, just look here at where that last one went. It went down through that loop. So this one, I can see it comes up and out that loop, so it's not that one. This one is the one that went down through that loop. So if it came up and out, you know you just finished step 2. If it goes down through like this one, you know you just did step 4, and you're ready for step 1 again. I'm going to demonstrate what it looks like, and so you can kind of tell when you've got it wrong. So again, I know this went down through that loop, so that was step 4. Well, let's say I'm confused and I don't quite look at that, and I go ahead and jump to step 3 again. And I go behind, and then in front again. Can see that that knot is turning and it's wanting to go around, and that's actually a different type of stitch. If you just keep doing one of these steps, it'll actually twist all the way around. Well, we don't want that. We want it to lay nice and flat and not twist. So if you make a mistake before you just really double check before you tighten it all the way up, and loosen that back up and try the right one. Just want to show you what happens if you're not careful about following this. So if I just go in front of this one and I don't follow that next step and it's behind, and then I go to cross over the front, you'll see that that knot is all on one side. So if that knot is all the way on one side or the other, so if it's all the way on the front or all the way on the back and not slightly wrapped around this, you've got a step wrong. So if I tighten that up, you can see that doesn't look correct. So be careful about that. Snug that up. Now we've got 7 on both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm ready to slide up one of my beads. Okay, slide up the bead, and that was step 4, again, because it went down and through. So I'm going to jump back to step 1 to lock this bead in place. So in front, and behind. And that locks that bead into place. When I'm ready to add more beads here, I'm going to count this as one of the loops to make up my 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I have 7 on this side as well. So I'll slide that next bead up. So make sure you count that one. Alright, I'm at the point where I've added my last bead, and I'm counting 7 more knots here, 7 more knots here, and I'm ready to cut and burn the ends of these. So I'm not going to cut these right at the edge. I'm going to cut just a little bit out. And I'm going to do one at a time. And I'm going to just put the lighter next to it, and it's going to create just a little bubble. Be careful, that little spot will be hot for a bit. I don't want to touch it. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. And my goal is not to melt everything, just to put a little melt on those 2 spots to keep that from going through there. This only works on this nylon string, so don't try it on cotton string, it won't work. Alright, so I've got all the weaving in this section done. Now I need to basically repeat that same process to create the little knot here. Now what that does is allow me to pull the bracelet open, or pull the bracelet closed, and open it up so that it will fit lots of different people. So process is similar. I'm going to start with another 15-inch piece of this cord. As you can see on this one, I did it in an accent color. Sometimes that makes it a little bit easier to see. So I'm going to start off by finding the center of this cord. And I'm going to turn my work here sideways. And I'm following the same pattern here, except the only difference is now I'm doing it over 2 different strings. So follow that same process. It's behind, it goes in front, and then this piece runs behind. Again, starting off, it's a little tricky. Once you've got it started off, make sure your beads are in the right place. Give that a snug, and my recommendation would be to repeat 5 sets, at least 5 sets of these knots here to make it nice and neat. Once I have the desired number of repeated knots here, I went with 5. I'm going to repeat the process of cutting the ends and burning them. Again, not real close. And don't put the flame right on it. Holding it next to it's enough. Remember, that's going to be really hot for a while. And we've got a finished giant Shamballa bracelet to demonstrate the little Shamballa bracelet. Go team!